Hello, everybody. That was a weird everybody. Everybody. Hello, everybody. All of you out there in internet land. Welcome to the Media Boat podcast. Today is February the 24th, 2021. The Media Boat podcast, in case you don't know, is a podcast about film, television, video games, and music, not necessarily in that order. We have breaking news. We have thoughts about new releases. We have impending new releases that you should know about, all of those things and more every week here on the Media Boat podcast. My name is Matt. His name is Mike.
I'm Mike. He's Matt. You found us, Media Boat podcast.
You found
every
us.
week. New episodes, including this week.
This week.
We do have news and thoughts to talk about, as we always allude to at the end of each episode.
Not as much going on this week. It should be a slightly shorter show than the last couple of weeks.
Oh,
thank God, because we've had a busy February. February seems like the longest month, which is ironically the shortest month. And yet we're still not out of it.
But this is also the last episode of February. I think we're at 270.
That is true. 270 sounds right. So yeah, next week we'll be in March, aka my birthday month. So hey, good times ahead. But in the meantime, let's get this podcast on the road, shall we? And we always start the podcast with movies. Real quick, quarantine box office update. The Croods is still at number one somehow. I guess families are the only people seeing movies. That's at 50 million domestic, 1.7 million this week. Little Things still your number two movie, 1.2 million, 11 million domestic, not including HBO Max revenue, of course. And number three, Judas and the Black Messiah, which we talked about last week, coming in at 0.9 million, just short of 1 mil, 3 million domestic.
Also, it's episode 268.
268, you're short.
270 is going to be your birthday.
My birthday episode. Week, yeah, will be 270, the day right before. Yeah. Exciting.
Man, if only like we planned this ahead of time.
No, if only. So, yeah, exciting, unlike the box office, which is not exciting at all.
No, it's not.
So let's move on. Why don't we? Right into movie news. And our first story, well, actually, we have a double shot of comic book news for you this week.
Yeah, we got both DC and Marvel in the news this week.
We do. We'll start with DC here. They've made some announcements this week about some casting. First up, Angel Manuel Soto from the Charm City Kings is set to direct Blue Beetle for the DC universe. Real quick, can you give me a capsule answer of who Blue Beetle is? I'm not familiar with a lot of DC superheroes.
Blue Beetle is a superhero who gets beetle-like space alien powers from, unironically, a blue beetle.
Oh, okay. So he's like Spider-Man, but if Spider-Man was the Tick?
Like combined Iron Man and the Tick then.
Oh, okay. So he's really like he's got a hard exoskeleton.
Yes,
but it's natural as opposed to built
and
like
then
Iron Man.
Increased strength and durability. Yes.
Okay. All right. Blue Beetle. This will be DC and Warner Brothers' first superhero movie starring a Latino character in the leading role. The screenplay is from Mexican-born writer Gareth Donald Alcocer, probably, who wrote, I guess, Scarface Miss Bala. Which Scarface?
That's
not the original.
Scarface remake.
Yeah, the remake
came out
that everybody forgot.
And yes, Miss Bala.
Miss Bala. And we'll focus on the third incarnation of the Blue Beetle from the comics. The film is eyeing a fall production start, although no cast has yet been named. Speaking of casting, though, Emmy nominee Sasha Callie has been
technically
Kaye, sure. Yeah. has been cast in the role of Supergirl for the upcoming Flash film. The Colombian actress is the first Latina Supergirl ever in DC and was chosen from more than 425 actresses who auditioned for the role. So exciting movement in the DC field for Latinx people. So there you go. Very cool.
Yep. Here's hoping that Media Boat favorite David Castaneda cast for Blue Beetle. Not just because we went to school with him and know him, but he's good in Umbrella Academy.
Yeah, it could be cool. We could see that.
Yep.
Next up, on the Marvel side, we have an update for the next Spider-Man film. The new movie has officially been given the title Spider-Man No Way Home. Thank God we don't have to call it Spider-Man 3 anymore. This follows the recent fake titles that the actors themselves have revealed via social media. Some of these include Spider-Man Phone Home, Spider-Man Home Slice, and Spider-Man Homewrecker, which is my favorite because I just imagine a very different kind of movie.
That's 50 Shades right there.
Right, yeah, Spider-Man Homewrecker. Marvel has also set the date for the new film as December 17th, 2021, just in time for this Christmas. So fast tracking it. Sony Pictures has said that John Watts will be the director, and it will be available only in movie theaters. No streaming deal. Sony has been brokered by Sony, at least as of this date. I think that when we get closer to December, that might change.
Right, and they've already been filming this, so they're kind of in wrapping up post-production now.
I can't imagine you. Yeah, but even if they do a streaming deal, though, I can't imagine they make a deal with Disney. Where do you think this would show up?
This is a Sony property, though.
Right, but of course,
That's
Marvel Studios, owned by Disney, is producing it. So I'm just saying that before people get their hopes up and think that they're going to broker some deal for streaming on Disney Plus come December, I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think so. But then again, by December, most people in the U.S. should be vaccinated. And then again, most people around the world should be vaccinated as well.
That's a lot of shoulds.
Also a lot of 10 months until that happens.
And also a lot of people who are going to be less ecstatic even once they're vaccinated to go to a movie theater. So there's a lot of questions, I think, about whether or not that will happen.
Yeah, but this does give at least people like me hope? Question mark?
Sure.
To look forward to going to a theater come Christmas?
Well, I guess we'll find out when we get a little closer. I'd say we probably hear more about this in the summer.
I mean, we're going to get trailers in the summer. I think Black Widow still has to come out before this.
Yes. And that also is still a theaters only joint according to Sony or according to Disney as of this recording. Mm-hmm. Again, though, I think that is going to be the next
also
thing to happen.
Has to come out before that as well.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting about Eternals.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a bit here.
Well, we will, but that's on the other side. Because,
no, it's not.
It is. We're not done with this.
Oh no, we're in thoughts.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait, what are you talking about? There's no more news. We're moving on.
Yes, but the reason we're going to talk about Eternals is because of their director.
Oh, right. Sorry, I forgot because it's so strange.
Except it's not Doctor Strange. No.
Okay, let's cut to it then. Let's move on to movie thoughts. Which one do you want to talk about first? The
one we're dancing around here.
The family fun or the potential award darling?
Let's go to the award darling.
Okay, so
as I just alluded,
yes,
director Chloe Zhao, who will be directing the upcoming Marvel's Eternals, wasn't picked from nowhere to direct this film. No. She has directed Nomadland, should we say, one of the potential Oscar nominees for Best Picture this year?
So it's interesting that you say that because I feel like last week we had a very brief conversation about what we thought was going to kind of lead the charge after our conversation about Judas and the Black Messiah, where we both were like, you know what, it's a strong contender, but I at least said I don't think it's gonna take the crown. And then I said, well, what else is there? And you mentioned Netflix's Mank as what you think had some buzz.
Right, because it's old Hollywood and Hollywood loves old Hollywood.
So even as of last week, Nomadland was not on my radar. I wasn't thinking about it as like a front runner. And then I watched it. Now I'm convinced. And yes, this seems to be borne out by the critical reception overall. I mean, it seems like this is an easy contender. I don't know if it's everybody's pick, but it might be mine now.
This was 2020 Sundance Award winner, Toronto International Film Festival Award winner.
Yeah. So
it's got some backing to it going into this. And surprise, we should mention, it's on Hulu right now.
Right. And that's the thing. And its accessibility is why I was able to watch it. Hulu making stellar grabs. I think of all the streaming services right now making these deals, I think Hulu is really on top of it. I mean, they had our favorite movie of last year, Palm Springs, and now this. So what did you think about this thing? Because I guess the real little quick explanation for people who don't know, this is I guess you could call it a fiction / documentary hybrid of sorts.
It's based off a book.
Nomadland. It's also based on a book.
So it's a fictional take on a real life adventure.
Yeah.
In present day Americana.
Yeah. Essentially, Frances McDormand is living a nomad life, which in a modern context and the context of the film is she is chosen to drive around in her van, taking jobs wherever she goes and kind of meeting and camping with people that are living the same kind of lifestyle. And so the movie travels with her as she goes through this, interacting with the other people who like tell her about their life stories, kind of trying to find a like footing in a basically in an environment and an economic reality in 2011 post the Great Recession that is making it hard for them to find roots and keep them. And it kind of goes through why she's, made the decisions she has, to in kind of in the wake of losing a job and a husband. And then, yeah, and a town, yeah, and a place to live. And kind of why other people have made these decisions as well. And it's, it's told semi-fictionally, but with people who in real life were cast because they are real life nomads.
Right. I believe Frances McDormand is the only, I want to say actor, but not
she
living.
And the main guy are actors.
Right.
The rest were basically cast from interviews with nomads.
So what did you think?
You're throwing the ball back right away. So I went into this thing completely blind. I didn't know anything about this movie before I started watching it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was incredible. I really liked this movie. It was just, I was like attached to it from moment one. The cinematography is beautiful. I thought just the locations that they go to were just so many great shots and so many beautiful vistas. The style of it, where it's that mix between documentary and fiction, makes you really just like it, I don't know, it just absorbs you, where I was just like just fascinated with everything happening, and I never really gave it a thought about like whether or not this was staged or not, because the movie puts you so much in the reality of the situation, you're not thinking about the staging. I thought Frances McDormand does an excellent job here. I think she's definitely a favorite, I think, for an acting award here. Just the subtlety in which that she plays this character is really impressive. It's not like what you might think going into this, where it's like, oh, this is going to be like the one big personality among, people who are maybe like a fish out of water kind of scenario. This is not that at all. She found this life because she is just an amiable, friendly person with some baggage. And the way that she interacts with everybody in this movie is just very believable and realistic, and never comes across as, oh, this person is acting. It's just impressive work. The people, the rest of the cast and the kind of stories that are kind of woven in and out. Sure, it doesn't have necessarily that linear of a plot, but that's not the point. I think the story comes from the stories that are told by the characters, and they're all really fascinating. Everybody you meet in this movie has their own fascinating life. And yeah, and I think that thematically it works too, because you get so many different, because these stories basically all present different elements of why, like I mentioned earlier, why everybody has made the decisions they would. And it tackles everything. It runs the gamut from loss to grief to like economic reality of like losing jobs, of finding jobs, of like an American dream betrayed in a lot of ways, where this dream that people thought that they would have isn't possible, and so they have to come up with plan B. It touches on like the realities of like a terrible medical diagnosis, and basically told that you only have so much time to live and what you do with that information, and with family relationships with Frances McDormand's character and others, where you're seeing this very like these hard questions basically about like whether or not you're expected to stick around or not when family life gets hard. And it tackles all of these subjects with subtlety and with just finesse, where it never feels overbearing and it never feels like preachy. It just feels like you're, at that campfire around with other people and you're just listening to everybody talk. That's just the vibe of this thing. And I was really just absorbed into it the whole time.
Yeah, really impressed with the cinematography. It reminded me a lot of Wild and Moonlight, which won best picture.
Yeah, I think it's probably the best shot movie I've seen since Moonlight.
But yeah, it does give it a real sense of realism and groundedness, even not just with the interviews with the people you're talking about, but with just Frances McDormand interacting, which I point back to 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri. If you want to see Frances McDormand acting her ass off, which she won the award for. But yeah, this is a really well shot movie. This is not your typical linear movie. If you're expecting to follow some type of overarching plot or anything or goals to reach, it's not really that. But then again, that's not really the nomad lifestyle that you're following either, which is you're on a set path, you're trying to achieve the American dream, but if all that's taken away from you, like you said, you're free to explore life as you can. And that's kind of what this film does. It freely explores not only Frances McDormand's life, but the life of the people that she meets on this nomadic journey.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I think that you're along for the ride in a lot of ways with this film. It's not necessarily something that you're going to be like, okay, we're at the climax. What's going to happen? Though there's a little bit of that. One of the things that they've done here is that they've like put in just enough plot details like throughout
the romantic subplot.
Yeah, that keeps you like being like, oh, reminds you that this is a movie, this is a fictional movie. And I think maybe to a certain extent, and there's one, generally the reviews have been pretty positive, but afterwards I took a look at what other people were saying. There's one take, this dude at the New Yorker who didn't like it. And he jumps around all sorts of places. Why? But one of the things he does point out that I do see kind of in retrospect is because it's making this choice about being both documentary style and telling this fictional story. Sometimes it does like have to have a scene or two that reminds you, oh, that's right, this is a movie. And I think for some people that could take you out of it potentially. Like that scene really early on where she runs into a family that she recognizes, like some local friends. When you compare that scene to the rest of the movie, it is kind of like, oh, okay, they needed that there to set some stuff up.
I mean, yes, that scene in particular, because in the very beginning is here's your expo dump, which I'm more of a fan of show don't tell.
Right. But you know what? With the rest of the movie being what it is, I think they earn it because, and that's my take, is because you need some of that to have a structure at all. If you don't have any structure, then I think you're going to lose some people.
Right, but that scene also carries twofold. Not only does it give you exposition about her past life, it also, at the very end of the scene, shows that there are people still in the town that she's in that are still looking out for her, that she doesn't have to go on this journey, but she wants to. It's what she wants to do. It's the want in your hero's journey.
It is, yeah. You put a song there, and then we're all good. No, anyway.
No want song. But speaking of want song, I love the music in this thing.
Yes, the soundtrack. I rarely notice score. Like, I'll be honest. I'll be the first one to admit. Even though I'm a music person, generally scores often completely go right past me in movies. They're not the thing that I'm looking for. I know you and others are different, where you guys notice quicker, but this one got me. And I was like, if I noticed it, it must be doing something good. Like,
you might notice it more because there's not a whole lot of dialogue, and there's a lot more ambient, I'll call it B-roll, because there's not really A in it.
I almost feel bad calling it B-roll though, because it's just so pretty. Like,
right.
I think
technical term, it is B-roll because there's no A dialogue, A actor happening in it.
I think that it peaks at the end, near the end, where you're just like, I don't know. It's just, there's so much to be said about this thing. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you can just roll up into Hulu and watch this is like just an instant recommend for me. I want everybody to see this thing. It's just incredible and very relevant for now, even though it takes place a decade ago. It's very interesting thinking about. Also, speaking of on that subject, not only is it relevant now because of what it's like, the commentary it has to say on the economic situation that brought a lot of people into this life, but also in a time where we've been quarantined for so long, it's nice to have a movie where you get to see the outdoors for a while. I literally had that thought at some point. It's like, oh, that's right. It's really cool to just be outside with people, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And so, seeing so much footage of that happening and being able to seeing somebody travel, to all these places, even if it's not the best case of circumstances, is still a welcome sight right now. And I think a lot of people will be like, oh, I needed some of this.
Yeah, it's like you said, like we said, it's shot beautifully. And it does explore a lot of that kind of Western style of landscape. A lot of desert scenes.
Yeah, but it's balanced with a lot of like other types of nature that you don't necessarily see in a lot of these films, and especially not lately in real life.
Right. I will say, as much as we are praising this thing, caution to those who will go out and seek this on our advice, may not be for you, because as I said, it is not quite a typical narrative of a film that you might be expecting.
I think go in not. It's tough because I want to say go in with no expectations, because I think that that's probably the best way of seeing this thing.
Yeah, but if you've gotten to this point in the podcast, you've just heard us explain a lot about it.
So it's hard to say whether your mileage will vary on this thing. There might be some people out here, that will watch this thing and maybe be bored by it. I don't want to know that person, but they probably exist. But I think it's really strong, and easily, like I said at the top, money down, I think this is your best picture.
Oof, I'm still pulling for Judas and the Black Messiah, because I think the narrative is better, but it's more traditional narrative.
And I don't know. I have my misgivings about it. Even though I think it's very good. Until we know what the Oscar nominations are, I think this maybe is a moot point. So maybe we'll get there and then make our decision.
Well, there's 10 nomination slots.
Slots. I think of all years, they definitely don't use all 10. If they didn't use them before, they're definitely not going to use them for 2020. Like, what do we have? Like, we have
Mank, Trial of the Chicago 7, Judas and the Black Messiah, Nomadland, and Hamilton.
Now Hamilton's not in. No, doesn't count.
Let me sneak it in there. Spring Break.
Spring Break.
Okay, Palm Springs.
No, there's no way. Like, no, not happening. Palm Springs will get a screenplay nomination, maybe, but I'm not expecting anything more.
Hey, if it wins Golden Globe, which
it could.
Note that's this Sunday.
Next week, this week.
Yeah, this Sunday, upcoming Sunday.
Okay. So big recommend for Nomadland. But what other movie did we watch this week?
We watched the superhero movie.
Sure.
Disney Plus, Flora and Ulysses, based
So have
off
you?
comic book of, I think, the same name. Maybe it's just
Yes,
Ulysses.
yes, of the same name.
Yeah.
Friend of the show, Christy, apparently was familiar with the book and kind of knew what this was going in, and I did not. But yeah, it's a fun family movie about a squirrel who, through circumstances, gains what could be called superpowers, and how the family basically reacts to this. Um, I had a lot of fun with this thing. I think this is a good ass family movie.
In terms of it being a family movie and like a superhero family movie, it hits all the notes and has the perfect recipe for a good family film.
Yeah.
It has the right amount of superheroes. It has the right amount of family mixed into it, and it has the right amount of slapstick comedy all thrown into it. It's the trifecta, rule of threes here.
In a way, it feels kind of like throwback, because when I was watching it, I kept thinking of movies from like 2 to 3 decades ago, not recent family fare. Like I'm thinking about like family stuff that Nickelodeon movies would have put out in the 90s, that Disney would have put out in the 90s.
Like Clock Stoppers?
Some maybe better than that, but you know what I mean. But yeah, that era, sure.
Disney's A Blank Check.
Well, again, better than Blank Check. Jesus Christ. But yeah, no. It's something. It's a kind of movie you don't see a whole lot of. From what I understand from people who saw it, I did not see it. Is that Sonic the Hedgehog was kind of that kind of vibe as well, where it was like, oh, this is kind of a movie that they don't make anymore. And so, but I think this might be even better than that. Having not seen it. But yeah, I think that you're right. It like hits all the notes that you want it to. It's accessible for adults as well. In fact, there's some scenes in here that I was like actually kind of surprised that they kept in, because there's a lot of stuff that were like a kid would potentially be bored, but makes the movie better for it by actually establishing like stuff with the parents' relationship, like stuff with kind of the dynamic between their friends, like more deeper stuff than like more dramatic moments than you might expect from something that is talking to this level, and it strengthens the actual like themes that are happening in the movie, I think.
Right, and it kind of crosses those themes very throughout the film. Main thing being family, how to keep your family together, working together for a family, trusting each other, typical family stuff that you would kind of expect from a Disney film, but done so in a very pleasantly, surprisingly tame way.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the script, which is really, really good. So Brad Copeland wrote the screenplay. He has credits on Arrested Development for a while. So he has TV writing creds. Also, more recently, he co-wrote, I believe, Spies in Disguise, the Will Smith turns into a pigeon movie.
You mean the last Blue Sky Studios film?
Oh, yeah, that's true, huh? So yeah, he's got his chops, and I think the script is really good. I think it's like it does a good job of talking to those multiple levels, of having enough kids stuff to keep the kids entertained, enough adult stuff to have the adults actually follow what's happening. Also, for a movie that's about a superhero squirrel, there's not a whole lot of superhero squirrel, and that might sound like a bad thing, but I think by the time you get to the end of the movie, I thought it's like actually it's probably good, because if you put too much CG squirrel action, it becomes a different kind of movie.
Right, but then again, the squirrel is entirely CG in this film and might be a bit annoying.
They could be distracting for sure. If you're expecting like the best CG squirrel you've ever seen, this is not.
It's no Rocket Raccoon.
No, it's not. Yeah, that's the other thing, is that like especially after talking about Nomadland, it was maybe a little distracting to see how like I don't know, just how uninspiredly shot this film is. It's just kind of boring looking.
It's a by the numbers kind of film.
It's what
a
you
family
expect.
film.
For
you
also
don't go
for
to
something
Taco Bell ordering a hamburger.
I mean, that's true. I do go to Del Taco sometimes and order the hamburger. It's pretty good.
Yes, that's why I said Taco Bell and not Del Taco.
There, but yeah, like I kept thinking, like, are you sure this came out in 2021? Like the whole time I was watching, because it looks older for some reason, and that might be a choice. I don't know. it definitely felt like something that would have been on a shelf for a while, but no, apparently not. It is produced last year, so there you go. But yeah, but I think that it's a fun time. I think it's really good for kids right now because of the comic book illusions throughout. I think a lot of kids are kind of in that Marvel zone, and we'll see Flora, the lead character, as like a very relatable kid.
Marvel Zone.
Yeah, Marvel Zone.
No, I had a flashback to something else earlier in the week.
Weird. So yeah, it's good. I think if you have like kids around like kind of the 8 to 10, maybe 8 to 13 range, I think this is perfectly in their ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good family night movie, and because it's on Disney Plus, it's really easy to get.
Definitely a family night movie. Get your family around together and watch it.
Oh yeah, no, it's quality work. But one last thing I'll say about it that friend of the show, Christy, pointed out when we were watching, is that we're getting to the point now where the parents of the children are, one, closer to us in age, and two, people that we thought like of as young actors.
Yes.
Like the fact that the parents are Allison Hannigan and Ben Schwartz in this thing just blew both of our collective minds.
Right, and Danny Booty and
right.
Garfunkel or Oates. I forget what that.
We made the same joke. We're like, is that Garfunkel or Oates? Kate Micucci.
Yes.
And yeah, no, everybody is great, but it's just we had that moment, and I told her, it's only going to get worse. Like they're going to be younger than us soon.
I mean, they already are. Tom Holland is only 25.
Yeah.
He can only play coming of age for so long.
Hey, but Tom Holland has yet to play a father, is what I'm saying. But that'll happen within the next few years, I'm sure. But it's wild thinking about it. Anyway.
It's the Jenna Maroney moment.
It is, yes. It's like we play moms now, huh? So yeah. But yeah, I think this is a recommend for me too.
Yep.
Not, to the level of Nomadland, but definitely a fun movie to watch for if you're looking for a fun movie night.
Yes. And real briefly, because I mentioned it and we're talking about this being a Marvel film. I think it's Marvel-esque. There's some rumors possibly going around.
Okay.
That characters from Big Hero 6 will be joining the MCU.
I also heard this.
Which sent Twitter into a frenzy because they didn't realize Big Hero 6 was a Marvel property.
Right. Yeah.
What was the other one that got people confused? Something else with the MCU with I think it might have been Spider-Man MCU related.
I don't know.
Or maybe it was WandaVision related and how
could be.
Could be. It was something else that they didn't realize that was also Marvel or all part of Disney. And I was like, yeah, we kind of knew that for a while now.
We're getting to the point now where they're going to unleash all sorts of strange, like, corners of the Marvel universe into the universe. And it's going to be weird.
Oh, no, that's what it was. It was if Big Hero 6 comes into the Marvel universe, that means there's a world where Big Hero 6 meets Sora from Kingdom Hearts 3, who meets Cloud from Final Fantasy. And so all Final Fantasy characters are potentially available in the MCU.
It's a stretch, but okay. Yeah, no, if you start saying that because Big Hero 6 is MCU canon, that means that Kingdom Hearts is MCU canon. Then we're all
video games.
We're off the rails at that point.
Yes.
Because when the Cloud then goes into Super Smash Brothers, and then you have all Nintendo characters. We can't do this. Anyways, let's move on, shall we, into television. And we always start television with the sports corner.
Real quick, only 2 sports stories.
Yeah, just real quick. This
is a big break from the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of in not the doldrums of sports, but sports slowed down a little bit because unless you're a basketball or a hockey fan, not a whole lot going on. First up is a basketball story. NBA All-Star teams have been decided. All right, you're going to make me say some basketball names.
Yes, I will. And guess who the captain is out of all these?
Is it Media Boat favorite Giannis Atetakano.
Oh, there's 2 teams, so there's 2 captains. Also, no.
Damn it.
So go ahead. Who's on the first All-Star team?
First up, Luka Doncic.
Yes, Doncic.
Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Kawhi Leonard. Thank you for adding the K.
Yes.
On the first team. And then Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, the aforementioned Giannis.
You're not going to try it again?
No. And Joel Embiid.
Yep. 2 captains. Who are they?
Again, I got it wrong the first time. LeBron James.
Yes.
And then Kevin Durant.
Correct.
Cool.
This will be LeBron James's 17th All-Star game.
That's a lot of All-Star games. Turns out.
Yeah, I mean, we're in 2021, so.
Yeah, math checks out. Is that what you're saying?
The math checks out.
The game will take place on March 7th, so mark your calendars for that.
Not this Sunday, but the next Sunday.
Right. Then our next sports story is, sadder and less involved in the actual sport. After kind of on the heels of that documentary series about him, Tiger Woods back in everybody's collective imagination. But apparently he was in his own imagination as he was injured in a car crash. Don't worry, it was just him. Single vehicle. But yeah, he's not doing too hot right now, but I'm sure he will recover.
He had emergency surgery following that happening. Think broke one or both of his legs.
Oof.
Which you kind of need to play golf. So
you do. You need those
for at least 6 months, possibly a year.
It'll be a little bit.
Might be some time.
Yeah.
So not his first car crash in the media, obviously.
No.
No.
Yikes.
But probably more severe.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Rushed to emergency surgery.
Sounds like it. So he will likely recover very quickly and return to golf soon. All right. Anything else in sports before we move on?
Lastly, just because this is my point to shout it out.
Okay.
The Los Angeles Kings.
What about them?
They're on a 5-game win streak.
And they have actually been winning.
Third place.
Yeah, we watched one of them.
The West.
We watched one of them. We watched one of the Coyotes games last week. Yes. And
there's also an outdoor game that was played this past weekend in Lake Tahoe, which
would be
had
very nice.
9 hour delay, I think. 8 hour delay in play because the ice started to melt.
Oh no, that's not ideal when you're playing hockey on it.
At the same time, people in Texas were standing outside taking TikToks saying, "What do you mean you can't play outside in Texas?"
In Texas. Yeah, the winter storm is a whole nother thing. But yeah, good. Congratulations to the Kings for having some wins finally.
Yep, they finally turned it around.
We'll see how long it lasts.
Good job, Kings.
Yeah.
Hockey's still continuing. Real quickly for the NBA, in case you're checking your game calendars, the last game currently scheduled is for that March 7th.
Oh, okay.
Do you know why?
No.
Because they only announced the first half of the season.
Oh, right.
The second half is yet to be announced.
Okay.
They'll be coming up real quickly what they're going to do. They did this in case the pandemic worsened and they need to go back into a bubble. Yes, we do note that several teams have had to miss or postpone games because of COVID-related players and instances. But currently, the scuttlebutt is that there's no calls for a bubble quite yet. So the schedule should just be released and then continue to play till the end of the season.
So keep tabs on that to see what your favorite team is going to do in the second half of the season.
Yep. All right. Now we're done with
All
sports.
right. Now we can move on out of sports and into television news. First story here takes us to Peacock, NBC's streaming service, and they've been making a couple announcements.
We got two new shows.
Yeah, a couple new shows to watch. First up, fans of Craig Robinson will be happy to know he has a new show that has been given 10-episode series order for Peacock. The now titled comedy series, previously known or now untitled, previously known as Killing It, hails from Dan Gore and Luke, I'm guessing, not like, Del Tredici.
Yes.
And will center on one man's quest to achieve the American dream while hunting really big snakes. Sounds like a premise that would have been really hot in like 2001. But sure, I guess sell it now. Meanwhile, the 1980s classic video game Frogger, yes, you heard me right, will be getting a live action competition treatment. The hour-long show will feature 12 obstacle courses that are individually physically demanding challenges based on the original video game, Frogger, as well as other nostalgic favorite games. However, the show is not solely physical, as contestants will also have their strategy and problem-solving smarts tested within the challenges. Frogger has been given a 13-episode order, and applications are available at froggercasting.com. The show is produced by Eureka Productions, which also makes Holy Moly, Name That Tune, Dating Around, and Crikey, It's the Irwins.
One of those things is not like the others.
No, but hey, if you're doing one kind of reality show, why not branch out to others? So my understanding, no, God no. Oh. My understanding about the Frogger thing is that there's it's going to be like, hey, what if Frogger but real? Where it's going to be a lot of like,
it's Wipeout-esque, but also not physical cars.
Don't get hit by the foam car coming towards you kind of thing.
Yes. And like jump on logs as you cross this gap.
So here's my question. Did everybody collectively forget Crossy Road? Crossy Road was the mobile modernization of Frogger that came out like, what, 4 years ago now?
Yeah.
I remember that being a big hit. Everybody was way into Crossy Road. So
it was right after Temple Run.
Yeah, so I feel like this is a another Name That Tune versus Beat Shazam situation where some people in a boardroom had to like determine whether Frogger or Crossy Road had more cultural cachet in 2021. And I guess they went the Frogger route.
Well, guess who the people in the boardroom are?
Old?
People who grew up in the 80s and remember Frogger and don't play games on their phone.
So yeah, I don't know. This for all those people who have been missing Wipeout, I guess this is a good replacement for that. And also putting it on a streaming service like Peacock is probably the right move, as opposed to making this a network show.
Who knows? It could get the cross, but it does mean that Wipeout has some competition. Basically, Ninja Warrior and Wipeout just smash them together.
Yeah, why not?
How's this not done already?
Yeah, so yeah, I guess...
wait, it has been several times over.
Yes. So yeah, I guess there's an audience for it, but just seems weird to me that they would dredge up Frogger, which seems like an ancient franchise at this point.
I mean, it hasn't gotten a new skin in ages.
Not that I know of. I mean, I think there was the most recent Frogger game I can think of there was an Apple Arcade Frogger game in late 2019 when that service launched.
Yeah.
Or 2018? Jesus. Yeah, that sounds right. So,
also, and then real briefly, new Dan Gore show coming. So might be favorite, but then again,
good for Craig Robinson too. Good to see him getting a series deal. Yeah. So, could be good. Alrighty. Next in television news, we have, didn't put the thing up. We have a story about Media Boat favorite Donald Glover. We haven't talked about him in a while. Refused to call him that. Next up for his career, the producer actor has exited his pact with FX for a multi-year deal with Amazon that is said to be over 8 figures. The pact is believed to include a content channel of sorts that will spotlight Glover's work and other curated content on Amazon's Prime Video Hub. I was like, Amazon Prime's Video Hub is what I wanted to say there. The news comes days after he and Phoebe Waller-Bridge would be creating and announced, I guess, they would be creating and starring in an updated feature of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which would be arriving on Amazon in 2022. Glover's move to Amazon will not, however, impact FX's Atlanta, with production to begin in March on seasons 3 and 4, as both of those seasons will be filmed back to back. The series last aired back in May 2018, so there's been a bit of a wait for more Atlanta. But yeah, Donald Glover, I don't blame him for making the move for some extra pay.
Yeah, I think Amazon also gets first look at all of his production stuff as well on this. 8-figure
big
deal.
Yeah,
multi-year deal.
I have to feel like, considering he probably made that FX deal prior to the Disney purchase,
yes,
that it was probably not looking as lucrative anymore. He was probably looking at those numbers and being like, this is it? I could probably do better.
Well, this is also like pre-Lion King numbers as well.
Right.
When you said, like, the series last aired in May of 2018.
It's been a little bit.
That deal after the first season of Atlanta. So either the deal was up and he didn't want to renew it, or just, it said he cut out early. So
Amazon could have also been knocking on his door and being like, hey, you want out of that deal? We can cut you something better over here. It's smart. He's one of the most lucrative young talents that we've got in the business. It makes sense that you'd want to lock him down for as much money as possible because people will follow him wherever he goes. But
I wonder how much of that
Mr.
8
and
figures
Smith?
is buying out the contract as well from
probably.
FX
I would
Disney.
imagine. I would imagine that that's probably on Disney there. But yeah, a new Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. Is that something people care about?
No, but it's just a reboot.
Yeah, I guess.
Or retooling, however you want to call it.
I guess I'm just questioning on who asked for that, but sure, okay.
No one asked for it. It's just a simple concept of two spies living under the same house.
Right. And yeah, I guess it's kind of the twist on it, right? Because with the casting, you have like Phoebe Waller-Bridges' character almost is guaranteed to be the comic one, like in this case, right? You don't cast her to be serious. So then you kind of have a reversal of gender roles there potentially, which could be interesting. I don't know.
Yes.
Interesting, nonetheless. We'll see. Alrighty. You have a little bit of reminders here.
Yeah, these are under thoughts, but these are really reminders. Golden Globes, as I mentioned before, are on this Sunday. Don't forget, we're not going to do any predictions on them.
No, they're not important.
Because there's a lot, but this is the Hollywood Foreign Press Association giving out these awards.
We'll say the same thing we say every year about the Golden Globes. No, they don't really matter. However, they are part of the award season, and they do kind of allow us to have a little more of a lens into what Oscar winners might be. So it's just yet another opportunity for us to be like, okay, so who won this, and this? And yeah, and Golden Globes count in that way. But really, other than that, not a whole lot of actual cachet there.
And for the last time, the G in EGOT does not stand for Golden Globes. It stands for the Grammys.
It would be EGOT. And but no one wants an EGOT.
Yes. The only film I'm really pulling for is for Hamilton to win Best Musical.
But
comedy?
No, because I'm pulling for Palm Springs in that category. So,
right, for Best Musical.
So I'm sorry, no.
I know. I'm torn. Those are my top 2 films, I think.
They were your top 2 films of last year. It's true. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I've got no real horses in that fight, but it'll be interesting nonetheless to see who takes it.
Yep.
Oh.
And then HBO premiered the first episode of Alan v. Pharaoh about Woody Allen. Not going to talk about it because the 4-part documentary. We'll talk about it at the end when it's all said and done. 4 weeks from now.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Or 3 weeks now since the first episode already aired.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I want to dive into that pool right now.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to.
I'm not quite ready. I don't think my gut is ready for it, but maybe. We'll see. Depends on how bored I am. All right.
You watched Nomadland on a whim.
Yeah.
Not saying that you'll be bored as well for this.
Yeah, but... no. We'll find out. Speaking of bored, let's see in the cancellations and renewals section of the show, what networks got bored of the shows that they were airing.
All right. What am I no longer watching?
You are no longer watching CBS's Mom. because after 8 seasons, believe it or not, somehow 8 years have passed. CBS has put it in the can. So, yeah.
So note, they're filming an 8th season and canceling it. This is the end of the 8th season currently, which is the first season without Anna Faris in it.
Right, which is key. I think this is maybe the reason why this happens. Also, 8 seasons. That's a lot of seasons. You're probably run your course at that point.
But it is kind of odd and I think hilarious that the last episode will air the week before Mother's Day.
They couldn't just push it out another week. But yeah, I think this really doesn't affect a whole lot of people. I think it was a moderate hit for the network. I think it's okay, but it's not going to go down.
Hit 8 seasons. You don't get there by accident.
That's true, but nobody is going to think of Mom in the same way as, your sitcom heavy hitters. I don't even think that people think of it in the same thought as Big Bang Theory. I think
no, this
I think
is overshadowed. King of Queens to Big Bang Theory's Frasier.
Right, I think you're right. It's
was Frasier CBS?
No, Frasier was
NBC.
But I get what you're going for.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, long tenured, but it was probably on its
way. 2.5
out.
Men. That's the one.
2.5 Men. Although 2.5 Men also, I think, was a bigger deal. But anyways.
Well, 2.5 Men was the 2.5 Men of 2.5 Men.
Sure, that is a sentence that you just said.
Well, it depends on which Ashton Kutcher pre or post are you talking about?
Yeah, who knows, right? All right, moving on. CBS has also canceled a long tenured drama in their lineup, Ncis New Orleans, after 7 seasons. So yeah, another NCIS falls down. So that just leaves proper NCIS, right?
Still, but there are rumors of a Hawaii-based NCIS.
That's confusing when you already have a network airing Miami Vice, but sure.
Right, and also the network that aired Hawaii 5-0.
Yeah. Also, pour one out for Scott Bakula, who's now looking for another job. You'll get there, Scott Bakula. I know you will. Next up, Netflix is renewing Fate the Winx Saga for an inexplicable 2nd season. Shudder is renewing Creepshow for a 3rd season. Holy Moly on ABC is getting 2 more seasons because it's cheap.
That goes to 3 and 4 seasons.
And BET is renewing The Oval, which I just found out existed this week. It's apparently a Tyler Perry joint about a family in the Oval Office.
Wait, so I should label this Tyler Perry's The Oval?
I believe it is actually stylized on the promo image as Tyler Perry's The Oval. So you might, for future reference. 3rd season on BET for that one.
All right.
And no deaths. Good happy week. This.
Yep. No major deaths that popped out to us.
That we felt. Yeah, that we needed to talk about. So that means that we flip this over to you. Let's talk about music.
All right. We'll start music with the Billboard, and we start Billboard with the Hot 100. And once again, the number 1 song is Driver's License by Olivia Rodrigo.
Not going nowhere.
I mean, not really. Just talking about your truck.
Just cruising.
Talking about a girl in a red sundress, looking real her best.
That's a different song.
But it's the driver's license in the truck.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you have to.
That's what you're talking about, right?
To drive a truck. I mean, you do. It's required by law. If you don't, they kind of frown upon that kind of thing. All right. What else?
At number 2, 3-4 plus 3-5 by Ariana Grande.
That's what that song is called. Yes.
Why? What else is it called?
34 plus 35
equals 69.
It does. It's true.
Yes. But I like my way better.
Okay.
At 3, Calling My Phone by Lil TJ.
At the
TJ. Featuring 6 Lack. At 4, Blinding Lights by The Weeknd.
Yep.
And at number 5, Pixar's Up by Cardi B.
Yeah, the whole time she just sings about Doug the dog. It's very strange. Very weird song.
She's trying to get the grape soda pin. Grape soda pin.
You know what? Aren't we all?
We are all on our own journeys to
Yes,
find a grape soda pen.
Yeah, to find our own grape soda pen.
And if you haven't found it, keep looking.
Keep looking, because adventure is out there.
Yes, it is.
All right.
All right. We got there. As for your albums chart, your Billboard 200. Still your number one.
Still,
I don't have to say still your number one album.
Because this is a big deal, because this means it is the longest number one from a male artist since Drake's Views.
No, thank you.
I know. Can you believe it?
Pass. Wait, what happened to Post Malone?
He was not consecutive. He was number one a lot, but he wasn't consecutive 6 weeks, I think it is. I think this is week 6.
Yeah, because I think Taylor Swift came in for a week.
That's why I said male.
And Ariana Grande came in for a week.
Yeah, it's key. Male is the record.
All right, so
because I think
Dangerous: the double album.
Still up there.
Morgan Wallen.
Yeah.
Still your number one album.
People will never stop listening to him.
At 2, After Hours by The Weeknd.
Still surfing on that Super Bowl bump.
At 3, The Voice by Lil Durk. At 4, Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon by Pop Smoke. And rounding out your top 5, Shiesty Season by Pooh Shiesty.
Still fun to say.
Yep. Yep, this does mean that the Foo Fighters album got knocked out of the top 5.
I mean, not surprised.
Not surprised there. If you did not like any of those albums, or want to try something new,
always looking for something
and not
new.
listen to that Morgan Wallen album again.
God no.
We have new releases, including but not limited to Detroit Stories by Alice Cooper. Mm-hmm. Yes, that Alice Cooper. Infamo by.
There's an RN and not an M. I was worried that was going to happen.
Inferno.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, and then capital N. Inferno by Blanc Moss. The Shadow. I Remember.
No, that's a bracket.
No, that's a pipe.
I'm sorry. You're right. You are correct. I stand corrected. That is a pipe. You're right.
Yes, The Shadow Pipe Remember by Cloud Nothings. Little Oblivions by Julian Baker.
I'm sorry, just the confidence in which you were like, no, that is a pipe.
I type pipes all day,
sir.
I know my pipes when I see them.
They're not common. You don't see pipes every day.
I work with a lot of pipes every day for work. Just laying them down, bracket after bracket, menu after menu.
Yeah, for that I didn't copy and paste it, so I had to search my keywords. Where is this?
Right below the backspace.
I see it now.
Yeah.
But yeah, pipes. Huh. Get you some pipes. But yeah, the Julian Baker album, I will be listening to that for sure.
That is Little Oblivions by Julian Baker. Mm-hmm. We also have Working with God by Melvins. I feel like I should scream that. Melvins. I'm thinking of Alvins.
Yeah, that's.
We also have Single Album by No FX. Yes, that No FX is still putting out an album. Mm-hmm. But just one. It's a single album.
Just a single one.
We also have That's Life by Willie Nelson, but it's only Frank Sinatra covers.
I mean, the name implies that that's what it is. So yes, Willie Nelson, an album of him doing Frank Sinatra. So enjoy.
Right, but isn't this Willie Nelson at an older age than Frank Sinatra was singing these songs?
Oh, definitely. Oh, 100%. Yes.
And lastly, Way Down in the Rust Bucket by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. The live record.
Yeah, the live record. I was kind of hesitant to include those last two, but I was like, well, if I clarify what they are.
It's fine.
It's fine.
They are artists that we know of.
It's true.
At least that you should know of. They are big name artists.
Most people do.
Yep.
Safe to say. All right.
Yeah. Well, you can find all those artists on your Spotify.
Yeah. If you have it.
If you have it. And you could listen to it in high clarity real soon. Because that's our first story. because as part of a long presentation called Stream On,
Stream on, stream on.
Stream until your streams come true. I mean,
See,
come
from
through.
when I pasted this, I was like, this is gonna happen. Either I'm gonna do it or he's gonna do it first. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Anyways, stream on.
Yes, Stream On, which Spotify announced that it will be introducing a hi-fi option later this year.
Yeah.
Among other benefits for fans and creators. CEO and co-founder Daniel Ek also said the company paid out $5 billion in royalties in 2020.
Not enough.
Chief Content Officer Don Ostroff announced that over the last 4 years, the number of recording artists whose catalog generated more than $1 million a year across recording and publishing is up over 82% to more than 800 artists. And the number generating more than $100,000 a year is up 79% to over 7,500 artists. The company also announced that it will be launching in 85 new markets, making itself available to 1 billion new listeners, and amid much other music and podcast news, that it will be launching as we kind of assumed, because they paid him so much, a Barack Obama, Bruce Springsteen podcast.
I believe the first episode of that is already up, because I saw some people talking about what they talked about. Yeah, that's sure a specific audience of people. Anyway,
I expect an SNL skit this week
from it. That'll be great.
Speaking of, real briefly, the SNL skit from Olivia Rodrigo.
I did not watch it, but I heard some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I skipped last week, but I might watch this week's because we want to see the bill of Nick Jonas and Nick Jonas.
Pulling double duty this week.
Yeah, pulling double duty this week. But real quick, before we change the subject.
Yes.
So the hi-fi thing, Spotify. The real story here is the hi-fi thing. So this puts them at parity with Tidal. But one interesting thing that they could do here, but it's unclear whether or not they will, is they could undercut Tidal on price. So I did not know this, but apparently the tier of Tidal that gets you the higher quality music is $20 a month.
I thought that was standard for Tidal.
So no, Tidal eventually, well, they launched on just the hi-fi model.
Right.
But back when they launched, it was only $15 a month.
Okay.
With a pretty generous 30-day trial. That is still the case. But the prices changed when they introduced a lower tier that is pretty much Spotify or Apple Music like quality. That is $9.99 a month. So they bumped up the premium tier to $20. But the interesting thing about what they're doing that Spotify is maybe not doing, Tidal doesn't only offer like 24-bit like regular like FLAC level hi-fi. They also have a level of performance that they call masters, which is basically like, I don't know, just stream the actual like freaking completely lossless recording. I don't know, which can go up to like an obscene level of bits. So unclear whether Spotify is going to do that here. My guess is that they will introduce a higher tier for this. But if they go at the 15 level, I think that will be really smart because that undercuts Tidal. Also, this makes Apple last company standing. Amazon also has what they call an HD service. So yeah, Apple will be the last one to not pull the trigger on this. I would not be surprised if you see an Apple variant on this by the end of the year.
I would have thought they would have already launched an Apple variant since they introduced the AirPods Pro.
Yeah, or the AirPods Max, the over-the-ear ones.
Of the Max,
which were kind of their big play in that. It seems like they're planning on it because some scuttlebutt a few months ago saw that they were changing the branding around how they referred to their high-quality iTunes purchases.
Mm-hmm.
And so they might use that branding for Apple Music streaming as well down the line. I think it's called like Apple, I forget what it was. It was like Apple, I don't remember. But yeah, they have a branding for it that they might roll out. but they have not made any announcements. I think one of the tricky things if you're Apple is that Apple has always done all their music stuff through their own licensed codecs, which is not the case for everybody else. So everybody else can use FLAC. Apple typically does not. In fact, FLACs don't actually naturally exist in the Apple ecosystem. You have to transfer them into Apple lossless format, which is their own proprietary format. I know I'm getting into freaking audiophile speak here. I literally started talking to you today before the podcast, telling you I upgraded to get better headphones.
Yes.
So maybe I'm the only one who cares about this, but some people do. But yes, so that's probably why Apple's hesitant, is because their format happens to be way less used and way less popular than the bigger high quality formats like FLAC.
And with that being said, if you are going to upgrade to these hi-fi options, make sure you do have some headphones or speakers that can actually play them. Because if you have like these crappy little $10 ones, not worth it. You need something that like what you have.
That is the other half of it. Yeah. It's like, if you're not already in this ecosystem, this won't mean anything to you, because you're right. Not only that though, it's not only about the headphones that you own. It's also, chances are, if you get a pair of nice headphones, you're also going to have to get an amp. And if you're listening to digital exclusively and want to do this, then you're also going to want to make sure that that amp is also a DAC, digital to analog converter. It's a rabbit hole that I do not recommend going down because it can get expensive very quickly.
Do you want to show yours off real quick?
No, I don't think anybody cares. But yeah. But anyway, the long story short is that this is for a niche audience, but it is going to, I think, force Apple's hand by having everybody else get into the space, because it's an easy way to get your power users, who are likely also the people who would be interested in a higher quality format, to pony up more money.
Yep.
So we'll see.
Apple, stop dragging your feet.
Also, this story made me go sign up for a free trial for Tidal to see what it was, to see what they've done recently, and so I'm enjoying that for the next 30 days. So.
Hey, just remember to cancel in 30 days.
Oh, I might. We'll see where Apple is by the end of this term, and we'll see.
Okay.
Anyways,
our second news story.
The actual biggest story in music this week.
Well, yes, it dropped the bass on everybody.
Yes. Yes.
And shook the world to its core. Just one more time. All around the world.
One more time. See what you did there.
Yeah, I try and get these to you like harder, better, faster, and stronger.
Yeah, I mean, you've done your homework.
And sometimes I get lucky.
All right. I don't think we have any more, so that might be it. All
right, we're if you didn't get any of that subtext, one, shame on you. Two, Daft Punk. One of the most influential and popular groups to emerge over the past 30 years, have decided to announce their retirement via a video titled Epilogue, which was posted Monday morning. The duo's longtime publicist, Catherine Fraser, officially confirmed the split to Variety and declined to provide further details. The 8-minute clip begins with a scene from the duo's 2006 film Electroma that features the pair, Thomas Bangalter,
you got it,
and 5 first names, Guy Manuel de Juan Cristo.
If it's Guy Manuel,
who for many years have concealed their features behind the robotic concept, walking around the desert wearing in their familiar space helmets and leather jackets. After a few moments, one of the members looks at the other, removes his jacket, and reveals an energy pack on the back. The other touches the buttons on the pack, and the first member walks away rather quickly before he explodes. To which point the title screen comes up, Daft Punk, 1996 through 2021.
So yeah, long story short here, Daft Punk is a very beloved and respected institution. I mean, I think since the late 90s, like they've been kind of like the thing about like electronic music that like you hear like as kind of like a gateway for a lot of people to get into that kind of that kind of world. I think a lot of people, especially our age, probably saw like freaking them do like a music video during Toonami, you know,
Yep.
and was like, what is this? And it blew our little minds. And we were like, oh, what? Like, we just found out about Around the World. And now it's like the coolest thing we've ever heard. And they kept going. I
Yep.
think throughout their career, like,
And
there's.
then when it was when Tron Legacy was announced and that Daft Punk was going to be doing the score for it, everyone freaked out of their minds about it.
I mean, there was such a big deal that there were bands who wrote songs about Daft Punk, like LCD Sound System's Daft Punk is Playing at My House. Like, it was a thing. Like, it was such a, because the thing that made them work is because they exuded a kind of level of cool that a lot of electronic music at the time did not. They were borrowing from other genres throughout their career. Like, you could even argue that their last record, Random Access Memories, is barely an electronic record because of how analog it feels, because of how much disco and funk is involved in it. They were always kind of on edges of all sorts of genres, combining things throughout their career that everybody could get into them. They were a group that everybody liked. Like, if you don't like Daft Punk, you don't have a soul, I think, to a certain extent, because chances are there's a song you could put on in a party and everybody would be like, oh man, this is my jam.
I mean, I don't think there's a wedding out there that doesn't play One More Time
Yeah,
during
yeah.
its list.
There's so many staples. And like, obviously, Get Lucky was everywhere when that thing was a hit single. Like, you could not escape it.
Yeah, but they did some songs with The Weeknd too.
They did some songs The Weeknd, which we talked about recently, thanks to his Super Bowl thing. And yeah, I think it works on their strengths. Those songs.
But also note that, as you mentioned, Random Access Memories was their last album, which was 7 years ago.
So yeah, they've been kind of dormant for a little bit. Also, but so yeah, and kind of on the flip side of it, like the sad part of it, there was also kind of a happy part of this as well, because the internet took a lot of fun with a couple of memes that were generated from this. At least in my Twitter feed, was a lot of people making showing pictures of two dudes and be like, turns out that was Daft Punk. It's like, oh man, I didn't know Daft Punk was these guys. It's silliness. The best take I saw, though, was somebody tweeted, well, I guess there's no reason to care about a Tron 3 anymore.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Fair enough. So yeah, pour one out for Daft Punk, but they will definitely be remembered.
Yes. This also could just be hype for 10 years down the line, a reunion tour when people can actually go to concerts again.
Yeah, maybe.
Or do a one-time festival for just people to go towards.
I do wonder if this had been the plan the whole time. Because
you're part of the concert theory?
Yeah, because they were going to do this. They were waiting to do the big like kind of finale like tour, and now they can't because of coronavirus. And so they're just like, well, I guess this is it.
It's okay, 2027 make a comeback.
Yeah, it's not a year that ends with a 7. It can't happen yet. Anyway. Stupid. All right.
What, you want to wait till 28 when there's an Olympics going around?
No one wants that. So yeah, R.I.P. Daft Punk. I hope they're doing good.
Yep. Did you listen to anything besides more Daft Punk?
Not a whole lot of new music right now on my radar that's big enough to talk about. So no.
Okay. I did not listen to anything new.
Seems like everybody's on a holding period until Taylor drops Fearless. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, even in the new releases, I don't see anything worth checking out.
Not a whole lot right now. Kind of the doldrums, but we'll get there.
We'll get there. Speaking of getting there, oh my God, we're gonna wrap this up so quickly.
Told you it would be a short one.
Video games. Now we're an hour into this. Let's get right into this with video games. We start with upcoming new releases, including Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection for the Switch.
Yep, that's going to come out to other platforms later. Switch first. It is a remake of Ghosts and Goblins with some quality of life improvements.
We also have Bravely Default 2 for the Switch. Yep. Harvest Moon, One World for the PS4 and the Switch. Monster Jam Steel Titans 2 for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. And lastly, Yakuza, Like a Dragon.
Yakuza.
That's what I said, Yakuza. Like a Dragon.
Yeah, on PS5.
On PS5, yes.
It's on PS4 and Xbox One already. Also, Series X. It launched with the Series X, but for whatever reason, Sony got the short shrift on that one, and the PS5 version is now finally out.
Yay. Okay.
Yay.
Let's get into some video game news, shall we?
Let's.
First up, stock market, or game stocks, as we were calling it.
Well, this is necessarily directly related to the stock market interest, but it might be fallout from it.
Yes, because hot off the heels of acting as an unwitting centerpiece to the largest stock market upheaval in modern history, the company GameStop has announced that its chief financial officer, Jim Bell, is taking his leave from the company in a press release in the afternoon. Quote, GameStop Corp today announced that Jim Bell, Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, will be resigning from his roles on March 26, 2021. The company thanks Mr. Bell for his significant contributions and leadership, including his efforts over the past year during the COVID-19 pandemic. The press release obviously does not go into reasoning for Bell's departure, though said massive transfer of wealth might be a good reason.
Maybe.
The company's attempted relaunch as a physical gathering spot for gamers shortly before COVID-19 pandemic could be another one. Or the bad press they received for attempting to stay open as an essential business. Or not giving their employees proper protection for working during the pandemic. Or the closing of hundreds of stores over just a few years. Or letting the stock be taken over by Reddit.
Yeah, all sorts of reasons.
An IGN story published today indicated that shareholders were openly revolting against GameStop's board, which also may have contributed.
So basically, you see a sinking ship, and you might want to bail out on it.
Bail out?
Bail out. I want to give credit for the kind of funny run there. Not to me, I did not write this. To Imran Khan over at Fanbyte. He's the new news guy over at Fanbyte, and he wrote this story, and I wanted to include because it was a very funny way of reporting it. But yeah, the bottom line here is that thing, the GameStop as a company is it's a miracle that they're still alive. They're still floating because they have got the world against them. Every single business decision that they made has just done them in. They just don't. It doesn't make sense to run a business, and so I don't blame a CFO.
About how bad they've run their business on this podcast.
Right. So this was just the last nail in the coffin for this dude, I'm sure, where he was just so sick of the shareholders yelling at the board, being like, do something about this. He was like, you know what? I will do something about this. I'll pack my bags and go. Good for him, right? Like, find something else to do with your life instead of stress out about these GameStop shareholders.
Yes, they're technically shareholders.
Just shareholders. I got there.
They hold the shares, and they only hold, never sell.
Yes.
All right. Other video game news, or scuttlebutt, rather. Is this rumor, Bill?
This is This was confirmed. This is no longer rumor. This was confirmed by Sony.
Okay, because I saw this and I thought, wait, this is technically rumors, but
no, this is
sense as a rumor.
Happening. This is happening. Sony said it themselves.
All right. So Sony has announced it's working on a new virtual reality headset for the PlayStation 5, but it won't be out this year. In a post on the PlayStation blog, Hideki Nishino, the senior vice president of PlayStation's platform planning and management division, explained the next iteration of PlayStation VR will see some technical enhancements to the resolution, field of view, as well as tracking player inputs. For those that weren't a fan of the mess of cords and adapters required to set up the original PlayStation VR, you'll be happy to know that the new headset features a single cord input that you plug directly into your PS5. While the headset itself will be a bit beefier, Sony is also working on a dedicated VR controller to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
According to the announcement, it will be bringing in some features from the PlayStation 5's DualSense controller. There's no specificity here, but presumably this means things like haptic feedback and adaptive triggers, which have been used to great effect in games like Astro's Playroom. I personally...
You don't need to do the anecdote. But yeah, it seems like the last little bit here is that Microsoft has been apparently polling its Xbox users about how interested they would be in the kind of capacitive triggers that are on the DualSense as well. So a new trend is coming soon. So yeah, the real story here is, one, Sony's not giving up on VR, like kind of we assumed they would from some rumors that had been, well, some statements that had been previously made by other Sony people. And also it means, hey, we can finally say goodbye to the PlayStation Move controller.
Yeah.
After a decade of PlayStation Move being used.
That was a PS2 era.
It was the PS3 thing. It launched with the 3.
The iToy?
No. So, okay.
Okay,
so
the iToy was previous.
There was the iToy, which was a camera for PS2.
Yes.
But the PS3 version of the camera was more advanced and did interacted with the Move controller for the motion control stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So the Move controllers are from 2011, I want to say, when that was the big PS3 push for motion control. So yeah, and people have been having to use those old ass things for VR on PlayStation 4. So yeah, this means that they won't have to when this new controller solution is released.
Yeah, maybe this might be the VR headset that I actually invest in. Also, single cord. Very excited for that.
There will be a cord, though. That is important to note. In the world of, Oculus Quest, we're getting used to wireless VR performance. They still can't do that because they need the PlayStation 5 itself to be the core of the operation.
Right, the whole engine for it.
If they want to do a separate wireless headset, they would then have to put the guts in the headset like the Quest, and that's a whole nother can of worms for Sony. That would be basically having R&D make a new console, more or less, which this is not.
Right, I don't think you could just do Bluetooth to it either.
No, that's not fast enough of a connection for that kind of heavy lifting. You have to have a cord.
Yep.
So,
well, I mean, maybe I'll have a room to actually do VR. Maybe.
Who can say?
Who could say? What's
one
this?
last news bit that happened
Breaking
today.
News?
It was breaking when I wrote this, so about like this afternoon.
Oh no, yeah, I saw this today too, and I was like, "Ooh,
yeah.
Better make sure we include this." And then I saw that you'd already written all your stuff. I was like, "Ah,
yeah."
But yes, breaking news today in a blog post: EA technically BioWare blog post, officially cancels the planned relaunch of Anthem, titled Anthem Next.
Yeah. So last we heard about Anthem, there was some basic statement that came out of EA that they were going to consider whether or not they would have teams continue working on a relaunch of Anthem or just abandon the project completely. And apparently they chose, hey, what do you know, to abandon the project completely. So those who have Anthem, hold on to it because it might be worth something someday. Because yeah, it's worthless at this point. That game is dead.
Hold on to it like a holographic Charizard.
Yeah, Anthem is going to be every Zoomer's like ticket to thousands of dollars in 2045. But yeah, not super surprised. It seemed like EA probably ran the numbers and was like, the return on this investment would not be worth it, because those few people who have stood around waiting for Anthem to come back are probably not in the numbers high enough for EA to make this make sense.
I mean, when Anthem came out, we saw the numbers drop dramatically of player interest.
Yeah.
And they said that they knew they were putting out an incomplete game and that it would be fixed in the coming months. Nope. Turns out that was a lie.
Yeah.
They said they would have 7-year support for the game.
Nope.
Turns out that was also a lie.
I think this is the time for that hard reminder. Your favorite sentence to say on the Media Boat podcast, which is, it's a business. They had to at some point realize that they weren't going to make any of their money back on Anthem. It was just a wasted proposition at this point.
Also note that BioWare is also working on Mass Effect and Dragon Age 4, so they probably pulled resources for those as well.
Right. So,
or not pulled from there, but pulled off of Anthem to those projects, which are coming out and will make them money because there's established franchises. And if rumors are to believe, those will be, I think both of them, at least Dragon Age for sure, games as a service.
Yeah. So more or less confirmed at this point. So yeah, right. It's like, it's going to happen. Also, real quick, even smaller than that one, for those of people who care about Diablo, Blizzard did announce that remake of Diablo 2 that we had rumored. That was rumored that we had mentioned after the Vicarious Visions stuff happened. Vicarious Visions is indeed the developer on that project, and it is coming out later this year. So,
oh man, where's our like called it chalkboard that we can just like?
We really need that, don't we? We need I need like a sign that says things be called. But yeah, so yeah, Diablo 2 fans, you'll get your nostalgic kick in the butt later this year.
Yep. Yes, that does bring up that BlizzCon was this past week, but that was pretty much the big news that came out.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
And lastly, in video games, as we wrap things up here, starting March 1st through March 31st, if you own a PS4 or a PS5, Ratchet and Clank will be free on
the 2016 Ratchet and Clank, specifically the one that was
the
remake of the first one that came out in tandem with the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is in preparedness for Ratchet and Clank Adrift or Rift Rift Apart.
Yeah, a Rift Apart.
Yeah. So in anticipation for that game launching in the summer, they're putting this one out free for everybody.
Yeah.
Which, yay!
Cool. It's a good game.
That game right over there on disc form.
Except you already probably 100%ed it, so...
So you're saying I should do it again?
No. I'm not saying that in any capacity. Real quick, last
free game
thing.
Is free game.
Yeah, that's true. Last thing, as a kind of a heads up.
You can't say last thing after I said last thing.
I'm sorry. There's always a last thing. Okay, a quick, since we're doing reminders now, at least we did in the TV section, here's a reminder for the video game section, which is pay attention to Pokemon this week, as Saturday is not only the Post Malone concert, but is Pokemon Day. All signs seem to be pointing that they will be making some sort of game announcement this week. Whether or not they'll wait till Saturday or will come early, all that is possible. But it seems like if they were going to announce remakes of Diamond and Pearl for Switch, this would be when that happens. So keep your eyes peeled on Pokemon socials, on video game news sites. Because,
all right, so I'm going to put that on our big chalkboard of Called It stuff for next week.
By this time next week, we will likely know what the next Pokemon game is. And it seems like it will most likely be Diamond and Pearl remakes.
All right.
So we'll see.
All right. Did you play anything then?
No, I've been having a video game lull after kind of my video game fall that I had, like the season fall, where I was playing stuff nonstop. I think I've slowed down lately. I've pretty much only been doing the New York Times crossword.
Okay. I did end up getting to play Control this past weekend.
Okay.
I got about at least the first act done. I think I'm somewhere about a third way through.
Cool. Having fun.
I can see why people like that game.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good game. Free for PlayStation Plus subscribers.
Yeah.
Which, if you're not, why aren't you?
It's on Game Pass as well.
Every week, every month.
The non-ultimate version is on Game Pass, both console and
No, this
PC.
is the ultimate version.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's PlayStation, but if you're an Xbox person, the non-ultimate version is the only one you get on Game Pass.
Yeah, the base game.
But you get ultimate on PlayStation.
Yeah, that comes with both DLCs, post content.
Right.
But I'm having fun with it. Yeah. I can see why people like it. The lot of different mechanics going through it with guns and powers, and it seems right up my alley.
It's neat stuff.
Yeah, it's neat stuff. Good gameplay. I'm enjoying it. I'm not streaming it though, because I kind of want that experience to myself.
Yeah, and
I'm sure
also
I'll stream something soon.
Also, it's a narrative game.
Yeah.
So like, I get why people would be less likely to be like, want to watch that kind of stream.
But I love narrative games.
I know you do. Yeah. But it's harder to stream those.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Good to know. But yeah, who knows? Maybe in a few weeks here, maybe I'll have some games to play. But we'll see.
Okay. And with that wraps us up. Oh, look at that, 90 minutes.
Hurry. Look at that.
Do it before the 100-minute mark.
We're back to our normal ass time.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening and watching the Media Boat podcast, however you enjoy it. We'll be back next week for another episode. We'll talk about Pokemon games, I'm sure. We'll talk about all sorts of other things. We'll talk about whatever maybe surprise drops on us within the next 7 days. Who can say?
We'll have our thoughts on Tom and Jerry next week.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately. We'll talk about that thing. Tune in next week. If you want to tune in via video form, you can do so on youtube.com. Search Media Boat Podcast. You can find our page, like, subscribe, the whole shebang. If you want to listen to us in audio form, that's also available to you. Go to Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify even. However you enjoy your podcasts, you can find us on there by searching Media Boat Podcast. Social media, we're on all sorts of social media. Twitter, where our handle is @MediaBoatCast. Facebook, search Media Boat Podcast and find our page. Like, comment on there as well. Email us if you have questions or comments about the show at mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com. I think that will do it. So thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week for another episode of Media Boat Podcast. See you guys. Bye.
Yep. More stuff, more content, more thoughts, more of us.
Yes, more. Cool.
All right. Bye.
Bye.